Okay, so once we have our coins mounted in their flips like this, now we're going to put them into binders. And so you can see here, I've made a binder up. I just took some artwork off of online, just a simple Google search. I found a Walt Disney World Resort logo, an old version of their map, another old style original Walt Disney World logo, and then some Waltograph font that I made my own stuff up within like Word or your favorite word processing software. I also made up a spine as well. And then just for fun, on the back side, I just put a whole bunch of the old logos and things like that. You can see here. I just kind of playing around to make it so it's not so boring. I have a couple old classic styles here. I have Polynesian Village Resort here, the old style, the new style. And of course, now they are back to Polynesian Village again. The old classic Magic Kingdom logo, and so on. Okay, and so when you look inside, I labeled mine volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you have. And so in this case, this volume 1 houses all of the theme parks with the exception of coins that are part of a series. Okay, and so let's take a look here. So here I just have a short description of the history of the coins and just some stuff I pulled off of online. Talks about the history of it and the different eras, because there are different eras. There you have your oldies, which is 1893 up till about 1965 or so. And then you have from 1965 to about early 80s. That's called the modern elongateds, and then you have the contemporary elongateds, which are 1980s or so until now. And so here's an example that I did. This is how I do my coins particularly. In the case of Walt Disney World style pennies or any Disney park style pennies, I have the parent resort here, the area or theme park here, which I have a typo there I got to fix, but we'll ignore that. You can see the actual coin here. And then here we have some information as far as the date I pressed it, the orientation of it, that it's a cent. Also, what I'm doing now is I'm telling what type of metal it is. So if it's copper or zinc, or maybe a euro or whatever, whatever type coin was put in to the machine. Also have the machine location and the die position of this coin. And then also the, in this case, press coin's catalog number. The location, which could be a store, an area, what have you, and then the title of the coin. Okay. And so in this case here, we have Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom. And then within here, I started to do a little bit of showing the penny machine counts and all that, but that's kind of shows a lot to keep up with. It totally is okay. You can do that if you want. I just don't have all the time to keep it up like I would like. But there's always stuff you can add later. Now, the way I did these is I labeled them based on the date that I pressed them, okay? So the only way that makes sense to me is to put these in order of the date I pressed them, because otherwise you're gonna have to take these out, and to take these out, you're gonna run the risk of ripping this actual sheet, and you don't wanna do that. In this case, this style of sheet is very brittle. And the reason being is because it's archival safe. It doesn't have all the plastic stuff in it that makes it soft plastic, because all those vapors leak out and it'll damage your coins. That's why I go with the cardboard flips with the plastic in here. These are archival safe and they will not off gas as well. So between keeping them in the flips, then with them labeled and inside the actual flip page holders, they're fairly airtight. And as you can see how shiny these are still, these have been pressed for over 3 years now and they're still very shiny. They're not dingy at all. In the case of these two, they're actual dimes. Got a little bit of glare there. There we go. Now you can see these are all zincs, because when I started pressing with zincs, and you can see Donald here. You see his mouth. You can see the silver there. That is the zinc showing through, and for me that's okay. But you notice how otherwise that coin looks really, really well. I'll show you some others that are not so good looking, and which is why I kind of moved away from using zincs. So now going forward the past year or so, I no longer use zincs for my own collection. You can see here I have some quarters, okay? But these are all not part of an actual series collection. Those are in a totally different book. And so we will take a look at those in our next video. So right now what I'm looking for is I'm looking for some coins that are showing very serious wear from being probably dirty when they were pressed or not as clean as they could have been. So let's take a look here. What else I have. So here we have Epcot. I believe in Epcot is where I have some that are showing that some of that damage. And specifically it was on April 12th of 2015. So I was only about 4 months into my collection at the time when this happened. And it's kind of hard to see here because I kind of went through and picked some of the worst ones out and re-pressed them. So I pressed new ones. But you might see some of them because at some point I just decided to stop trying to redo them. I was fairly happy with how they turned out. I'm just looking real quick for some here to see if I can see any that are really in bad shape, and I don't really see any that are horrible. We'll take a look at another part. So I'll flip through here so you guys can take a look. And these are all zincs, by the way. All right, and so here we're going to go past, and we're going to take a look at Hollywood Studios and kind of take a look at this one and see if I can find some of those that are damaged. Let's see here. You know, I don't see any in this park either. Here we have May, and it was one specific date. And let's see here. No, not really. These are showing actually fairly well. There's some actually, if you can take a look at this one here. Let me try to zoom in on this one here a little bit. It's hard to see. I'm trying to get it in the light just right. And it's not really showing. It's not really showing very good in here. It's hard to see on here, but you can see some really tiny veins, and these actually turned out fairly well considering. Let's take a look at, maybe there might be some in Animal Kingdom possibly. If not, I'll find some others that I've came across through trades that are a little worse off for wear here. That might show it a little bit better. Let's take a look here real quick at Animal Kingdom. We'll flip back to, I think I saw one in Epcot that I got through a trade. So let's see here. Nope, these are all 2016. So these are all when I was actually cleaning them. When I first started, I tried to use uncirculated zincs. Those actually still work pretty well. I use those for the ones that I pressed for my children. They turn out very nice still, and as long as you use this method for keeping them preserved, it will definitely help. However, the preferred choice would be to use coppers, which are the pre-1982 pennies. And what that means, for those of you that aren't aware of that, the pre-1982 is where they were 95% pure copper, as opposed to the current mixture, which is a zinc core with a thin layer of copper over top of it. And so what you're seeing is that copper layer split. And it looks like veins, and in some cases you can see big streaks of silver showing through. And what will happen over time is that silver will turn black as the zinc oxidizes. So it'll turn really rough. You can see some of it here on this frozen one here. You can see the silver on it a little bit. And for me, that's okay. I mean, I think at some point you kind of drive yourself crazy trying to get everything perfect, and it's just not fun anymore. So I'm happy with it. Let's see here if there's any more in here. Here you can see one here. Let's take a look at this guy. So here we have Peter Pan. You can see all that gray? That's all zinc. This is probably a really rough case. So this was handled roughly maybe, or maybe someone tried to clean it before I got a hold of it. I don't know. but it's very well worn through with the zinc. But it still looks pretty good though. I cleaned it a little bit and it turned out fairly well. So let's just want to let you guys see, you know, what it looks like to have these things mounted. First of all in flips and then in actual pages, and then how that all comes together in a binder. And like I said, I have multiple binders like this. This is one that I base on theme parks. And then I'll show you guys some later on as well, where I have the resorts in another section and my series or the collections within themselves, a total separate section of a different binder. And so we'll take a look at those next. So, happy pressing.